Good afternoon, my name is Raquel Ramirez, and today I'm going to talk about the communicative approach. The communicative approach was first developed in the 70s, and it has influenced approaches to language teaching today. Personally, I consider the communicative approach as one of the best methods to teach English, since it is based on develop speaking and listening skills. Both are the most difficult and important skills in the English learning process. The communicative approach is an approach used around the world based on the Common European Framework, and it is the methodology of choice by a number of institutions around the world. The communicative approach focuses on the importance of students using English to exchange information which is integral to events and experiences relevant to their daily lives. It means that students are involved in meaningful use of language in real world context, so that the language I'm going to teach has to be relevant to their daily lives and it has to be real. After reading all this information, about this method, I consider that I should guide my students and facilitate them in the direction of spontaneous communication. So in my lesson plan, I'm going to think of activities that are going to be challenging but enjoyable. This means that my activities have to be in the appropriate level, considering their lack of knowledge. Also, I would improve working in a different way. I mean, in pairs or groups or making competitions, playing games, and things like that. As a teacher, I have to keep in mind that my students have to develop the speaking skills. So the communicative approach focuses on function. It means that I have to prepare my students to real context, like ordering in a cafe, making a hotel reservation. So I have to give to my students all that grammar and all that vocabulary that they are going to use in those contexts in real life. Another aspect I would improve is memorization and repetition. Both are okay if I'm working on pronunciation. As I have already mentioned before, this method based on speaking skills. So I have to help my students to improve their pronunciation. The last point I would develop to make my teaching practice more useful is that my students can learn grammatical principles heuristically. This means that they're not overloaded with grammar, but they discover grammar on their own through examples. Then I found some advantages about this method, and the first one is that it increases the fluency in the target language. My students are gonna speak in English all the time, so this is gonna help us to develop our speaking skill and improve our pronunciation and fluency. Then we have interactive relationship between the teacher and students. Also, students get cognitive abilities and operational capabilities. And another one is that students are more confident. And also, communication leads to gain in grammar. As I have already mentioned before, they learn grammar by just giving or analyzing some examples. On the other hand, we have some disadvantages. Like as teachers, we correct the students' pronunciation and grammar mistakes all the time. So maybe my students, I want to think that they are doing bad, but as a teacher, I know that I have to improve, and I have to improve their pronunciation, so I have to correct them. I consider that this method is more functional for intermediate and advanced students because they have a previous knowledge. So maybe it's easier to develop the speaking skills because they have already learned vocabulary and grammar, and they can express different ideas and develop different topics. Okay, so finally, I want to add that a big disadvantage is large groups. Sometimes it's difficult to work with many students and achieve the main goal. So I consider that this method is real. It's real. Um, it's really good if we work in small groups because the teacher focus the attention on specific students, and in that way we can develop the four skills in language learning process. Okay, so that's it, and thank you so much.